Hey everybody, this is Chris with Overclockersclub. Just when you thought things could not get any better, here we go. We've got the ECS1112FP from EnGenius. So if you've got a home office, small business, medium business, and you're in the market for some cool stuff from EnGenius, for example, this ECS1108P 8-port gigabit PoE Layer 2 managed switch, well, check out the review for that because I've already looked at it. So now we're ready to move up, and this thing is a beast. This is the ECS1112FP. It's also an 8-port gigabit switch, but it's a PoE plus. So it takes PoE to a new level. All right, so if you are new to the PoE or Power over Ethernet world, I'll give you a real quick rundown. Okay, so normally this is your Ethernet cable. It moves data back and forth, right? Well, PoE or Power over Ethernet basically takes this same cable and puts power to some of the wires in there, not all of them, so that you can power up a device and not have to use a separate adapter. So everything happens through one cable, Power over Ethernet. Well, I guess maybe it's not that exciting, but let's see what's going on here in the box. All right, this thing really is a beast. It's got some weight to it. I like that. All right, so first let's just take a look here in the box. This should be the power adapter. All right, we've got some little rubber feet, some screws. Oh, looky there, it even comes with its own Ethernet cable and it's for a console. So it's got Ethernet on one end, and it looks like a little RS cable there, or interface on that end. There's your power. And since this is rack mount, it comes with some rack mount brackets. All right, so looking at this beast in a little more detail. And I'll make sure I get the little feet attached to the bottom. You got little round places for the little rubber feet. But this is the unit, and real quick I'll give you some dimensions for anyone who is wanting to know. So we're looking at about 9 1/4, just under 9 1/4. This is actually longer than a foot, so we're looking at, call it 13 inches. And the height, about 1 3/4 inches, roughly, without the little feet on it. So that gives you a general idea of the real estate it will take up. So it has some nice cooling vents on the sides. There are some holes here. Those are for the brackets over here for your rack mounting. So you got a wider vented section on this side. Looking at the back, pretty simple. It does have its own fan, and there's your socket for your power, your 120 volt power. The bottom, not much going on. It does have little round places, so you know where to put the little rubber feet. And then looking across the front, there's a little more going on here. Okay, so this is the console port. We've got a power LED, a fault LED, a PoE max when you've reached the power over Ethernet limit, LAN mode for your local area network, PoE mode, and then a little switch there to control your functionality of your LEDs, and there's a little reset button. And then of course we have 8 Ethernet ports across the front that are all PoE capable. We have port 9 and 10, and we have these 2 SFP ports. And I'll talk about the functionality of these ports over here in more detail in just a little bit. Now this is a PoE plus switch, and what that means is your PoE plus is, the standard is 802.3 AT, like AT. And what that says is that this can deliver up to 30 watts over Cat5 cables with 25.5 watts roughly available to the devices, whereas This one here that I reviewed already, this is the ECS1112FP. This is a PoE, which is 802.3AF. So this is an AF, this is an AT. And you can go up from there even higher, where the device will supply even more power. But this one here is the PoE Plus. We'll get all the little rubber feet attached here. And then I can put the power to it. Now, just like the other EnGenius devices that I've looked at, the access points and the other switch here, what you do first is you get your EnGenius app on your smartphone, and then after you're logged in, after you set up an account, then you can register the device. And it's very simple. There's just a little plus on the screen, and you scan in your little 2D code there, and all the information for this device gets put in to your EnGenius cloud so that you can begin to access it and manipulate it. So I'll go ahead and get this powered up, plug a couple cables in, and then get it registered. Alright, so I just turned it on, and it looks like it did a quick self-check across all the ports. And you can see the lights that are on there, but it takes it a moment. And while it's doing that, I'll get some Ethernet cables plugged in. Alright, so I got it registered, and that takes a whopping 10 seconds after the app is on your phone and you're all logged into your account. But it is powered up, so this is my main uplink from my other main switch coming into the studio. This cable goes right over here to this cool access point. You can see it's plugged in, so this is power over Ethernet here, and this is the ECW230 wireless access point. So if you're interested in that, you can check out the review on that also. So as you can see, this is now all powered up. It's running off of the power supplied by this switch. And at some point, usually what happens is the first thing when you plug in your new device and it has internet access, it checks for a firmware update and then does that automatically. And I don't see anything happening yet. When I first plugged in the access point, it went out and found the latest firmware and updated that immediately. So this may already be updated. I'll have to log in here and check. Alright, it just rebooted on me, and my guess is that it is doing a firmware update. So I'll confirm that in a moment. But I sort of expected that. Now the fan, a little fan back here, it's moving some air. Anybody who's concerned about fan noise, I mean, can I hear it? Yeah. Is it annoying? No. And you got to think, this device here is really going to spend most likely most of its life in a server rack, in a server room, somewhere that the fan noise is not going to be a concern. And there we go. Everything is powering back up. So pretty sure that was a firmware update. Okay, so I did just confirm. I logged into the EnGenius cloud, and I did confirm that this did do the update from 1.1.41 to 1.1.47. So that was a quick firmware update. Okay, so now I'll try to get as many things as I can plugged into this and sort of look at the traffic flow through it. Okay, so I went ahead and connected my main line coming into my studio, and then everything else is being funneled through the switch in the studio, and that's over a dozen cameras, multiple computers, all kinds of Wi-Fi devices that are coming in through the access point now. Okay, so this little button right here, this little LED mode button, you can see right now it's in LAN mode, and what that means, if you look at your two LEDs there, the one on the right that is flickering shows activity at the port. The one on the left that is solid green means that it's gigabit speed. And we see that on both of these. Now if I switch, you hold this in for about 3 seconds, and then when you let go, you see it switches over to the bottom one, which is PoE mode, Power over Ethernet mode. And what that means is that the right hand LED there still shows activity at the port. The left hand LED is not lit up, but it is on this one. That's because what it's telling you is that there's activity and there's power over Ethernet, or power being supplied through this Ethernet cable, because this device here, this access point, is a PoE device. So this just is a quick way to show which, if I can get my camera to focus, which devices are now using power and which ones are not. Of course, I don't really have that much plugged in at the moment. In PoE mode, if I want to go back, I hold this in for about 3 seconds. And then when I let go, there, it switches back over to LAN mode, and they function like your normal LEDs do, just on a regular Ethernet switch. And now I'll talk about these two little ports here, 11F and 12F. These are SFP ports, and what they're used for, it's sort of like an uplink port. So you can connect this to another switch or a device that's high speed. You need to move a lot of data through it. And you need to match these little modules here. These are SFP modules. You need to match it to the speed of the port. So this is a gigabit SFP module that will go into the gigabit port. And this one is for fiber, although you can get these for Ethernet, which is copper. And it plugs in like this. And it really only plugs in one way. And then this end takes the fiber. So you need to match the SFP module to the port speed, and then you need to match the fiber to the SFP module. And there are different ends, so you can mix and match. But this one here uses the same SFP module in both of these switches and the same fiber. Now this fiber is capable of running 10 gig speeds, although it will only be running 1 gig in this application. So you push it in like that, and it sort of snaps in like that. And you should see the ports should be flashing there. Yes, they are now connected. If the camera will ever focus, there you go. Connected at the gigabit speeds. And of course there's the console port there. I haven't used anything with a console port in years. I'm not sure too many people even use them, so I'm a little surprised it's even still included, but there it is if you need to log in that way, although really you can log in just by hooking this thing up to your network. So anyway, the next thing I'll do here is log in through the EnGenius software and sort of run through some of the features. So I've been using this switch for a little while, and I've had no issues at all. It performs just fine. I really didn't expect it to have any issues. The power over Ethernet ports work. The fiber connection works. I mean, it does everything it's supposed to do. So really, to me, what makes a good switch a great switch is the graphical user interface, the GUI. One that's well designed and one that's intuitive is really a deal maker for me. So that's where I come to this interface here. This is what you see after you log into your EnGenius network. And this is the main page. So if you look over here, this is dashboard. And when you log into the dashboard, you sort of get a quick overview, a really big picture of what's going on. So if you look to the left, you're going to see if there are any big problems right away, and you can see everything is green. Everything's connected, everything is happy. And then you can go by devices. So this sort of groups all of your switches together. I've got 2 switches. Go back to the dashboard. I've got 2 access points, so I can look at those. And go back to the dashboard. And then this shows me all of my clients. So if I click on it, it takes me to a little page here, and I can look at all my clients. I can lock people in, lock people out, kick them. I can look at my bandwidth here, who's using what. So this is really nice. But going back to the dashboard and looking at the switches, I can just click right here on the details. And this drills down for this particular switch. And I can do this for any of the switches that are connected, any of the EnGenius switches. So I can look real quick. I can see what my firmware, my latest firmware is. You got your serial number, all that information. You can see what's turned on and off. I can come down here and look at the ports, and see which ports are connected at what speed. Look at my PoE usage by port, and you can even add or upload a little picture of your switch. This is from the EnGenius website there, but you can certainly take your own picture and add that. So again, this is the summary. So if we want to get down into the settings, and these are all like the defaults, the way the switch comes. I can override these and get in there and tweak stuff if I need to. Here are your port settings. So now I can go in and really customize how each port functions. This is your VLAN, how you can get that set up and controlled. Here's your mirroring section. Power over Ethernet scheduling, so I can control what ports do what and when. Link aggregation, I can team ports together. And then your logs, so you can sort of see what's going on. But that's pretty much the control set for the switch. Now I can go in here in more details and look at switch settings here. And of course there are more settings that you can adjust. And then there are, of course, general settings for the switch also. But this really gives you a level of control that, of course, with a switch like this, this is more of an expectation. It's not really a surprise. But the way it's laid out, it is very intuitive and easy to sort of find your way around. And actually, there are a few more things to touch on. So over here is the topology. This gives you a graphical sort of a layout showing the relationship between the devices that you have connected. And if you sort of mouse over the connections, you can see it gives you some information about it. Over here is a little legend. So this is nice. So as your EnGenius network or your system grows, you can keep track of what's connected and how all the different items are related. Looking over here, the bottom right, you can see there's a little chat. If you need to chat with somebody at EnGenius, that is a nice feature. Up here at the top, again, you can sort of go from light to dark. Question mark gives you access to the user manual, remote support, cloud microsite. This here is your, click on that, this gives you all your notifications. And then this is your profile information there. Down here at the bottom, and click on that, and this is a quick inventory of all of my devices, my license status, and then over here I've got team members. Right now I'm the only one on the team. And then you can set up tasks, view all of your reports. I don't really have much going on here. But again, there's a lot going on within this GUI. If you have devices that require more power than what the 802.3 AF standard, which is just regular PoE, that's up to 15.4 watts per port, you would go with the 802.3 AT standard, which is PoE Plus, and that gives you up to 30 watts per port. So that's for devices that need a little more power. And of course, this switch meets that standard, the 802.3 AT. And here's what the app looks like on your smartphone. This, of course, is my iPhone, so I can pretty much see everything that I could see through the user interface on my browser. I can see it all right here. So if I want to go to my switches, the switches come up. I can click on the each individual switch, and I can pull up all the information, everything I want to see about it. Your controls, everything is pretty much there from the user interface. Even the little picture there that I uploaded from the EnGenius website. So that's one really nice thing about this app. And then I can go back and I can look at the whole network. So this is sort of like your dashboard again. You can get a real quick spot check of the status, if there are any problems, any issues. Everything is just right here. Right at your fingertips. For anyone who wants to see what's going on the inside, there's the front panel, so you sort of have to disassemble the case here to really see what's going on. But there's the main circuit board. You can see that's where all of your Ethernet sockets are. This side is your voltage regulator, so it takes the 120 volt AC power coming in and drops it down to a usable voltage and supplies it to the circuit board there on the right. And they have this shroud here to sort of help the fan, which is back here. So it's pushing air out of the back, but it's drawing it in through the front. So this side is where most of your heat generation must occur. So they're using this shroud to sort of help guide the airflow to the back of the little case there, little box. And this side obviously must not really generate that much heat. So really there's no reason for you to ever take the cover off and poke around inside, because you've got some serious voltage on this side. So you really don't want to take it apart yourself. So I took it apart so you can see what's going on. Okay, so a little more here about the included DB9 connector. That's what this little guy right here is. And it has the RJ45 on the other end. So if you had no other way to connect to the switch, and this is the way you used to do it in the old days, you would connect your special cable here, and sometimes there's another adapter to go to another cable. Yeah, sometimes you can plug this directly into the COM port on the side of a computer, but a lot of times you've got to use a couple different adapters. But anyway, that's how you would access the switch to start getting all your settings configured. This is not as common as it used to be. Like I said, it's been a long time since I've seen it. My preferred way now is to just use your regular Ethernet connection and log into it through the EnGenius cloud. That is so easy to do, so that would be my preferred method of connecting to the switch. I should clarify, I keep saying you don't see these ports, these console ports, very often. And what I mean is, on a consumer grade switch, you really don't see a console port. You see them all the time really on your business, enterprise, commercial grade, industrial grade switches. That's so that the IT guy, when he's in a server room, these things are all stacked up in the rack, and the IT person needs to access a piece of hardware to monitor it, test it, set it up, whatever. That's where these come in handy. This switch retails for about $349 on Amazon. That's a chunk of money. That's a lot of money, actually, but this is a lot of switch. You get a lot here, a lot of bang for the buck. It's a layer 2 managed switch. You've got your power over Ethernet up to 30 watts per port. You've got the ability to run your gigabit connection through fiber if you want. It's got the cooling fans to keep everything cool. This is definitely a high-end switch. As far as performance goes, I had multiple PoE devices connected to it at different times, and of course no issues there. Tried to move as much data back and forth through the switch as I could, and really the limiting factor was the devices plugged into it. I sort of hit the bottlenecks there. It wasn't because of the switch. And what really seals the deal for me is the EnGenius Cloud software. The way the interface is just so smooth, easy to use. I really like it. The way you can get online with your smartphone, check everything out, manage it. Another great feature. Of course, if you're in the market for a nice Wi-Fi access point, be on the lookout for this review coming up soon. This is the ECW230, so you can check that review out. But back to the switch again, very impressed with it. Really like it. So this is Chris with Overclockersclub. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe.